This is what happens at the White House on America's 250th birthday. While most of the country is still asleep, the National Mall is already awake. 2 launch barges, 46 operators, over 50,000 individual firing cues. Every one of them time-stamped to music that isn't going to play through any speaker on the mall. Miss one cue and a shell goes the wrong direction. Above all of it, an F-16 sits in a holding pattern and most of the crowd won't even know it's there. And the most dangerous 30 seconds of the entire day won't happen on the mall. They'll happen on a 30-foot slab of concrete the size of a parking space, with the President of the United States standing on it and 2 million people staring directly at it. Walk down the mall right now and you're not walking through an empty park. You're walking through a small city. The Great American State Fair has been running here since June 25th, 1 full mile from the steps of the U.S. Capitol to the base of the Washington Monument. Pavilions from all 50 states and 6 territories, with a 110-foot Ferris wheel right in the middle. The Smithsonian Carousel sits freshly painted across from the Hirshhorn, and on a normal day, 500,000 to 750,000 people show up. Today's prediction? 2 million. That's the entire population of Houston packed into 1 mile of grass. Even at 4 in the morning, the place looks like a movie set someone forgot to strike. Texas barbecue pit is cold but ready. Maine's lobster trucks are restocking. A guy in a polo shirt sweeps Hawaii's hula stage. Out on the curb, Alaska's ice carvers check the cooling units that keep their finished pieces from melting in the DC summer. Imagine your biggest county fair, stretch it from your front yard to the next town over, drop the most recognizable monuments on Earth in the middle of it. That's the National Mall right now. While the State Fair vendors are doing their morning setup, the people you really need to pay attention to are down at the reflecting pool. 2 launch crews, 46 pyrotechnicians, hundreds of mortar tubes stacked like sewer pipes, each one wired to a central firing computer. The barges on either side of the reflecting pool are floating arsenals. Here's the detail most people don't know. The fireworks haven't launched from the Washington Monument since 2017. The launch points moved to both sides of the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, which means the show is now choreographed in stereo, left side, right side, alternating and mirrored bursts, the whole thing running on 2 synchronized tracks instead of 1. Miscount on either side and a shell goes sideways into the crowd. That's the kind of margin we're working with. The crews wiring it right now have been on site since July 1st. 3 days of work to load the show. Each shell goes hand-placed into the right tube at the right altitude. The firing program runs to over 50,000 individual cues. Every cue gets time-stamped to the music, and the music isn't going to play through speakers on the mall. It's going to broadcast on every FM radio station within 30 miles of the Capitol, so a kid on his dad's shoulders in Arlington hears the same beat as a kid on his dad's shoulders in Anacostia. And while the crew is finishing the wiring, 100 people inside the White House are about to start the most carefully choreographed day of their lives. Inside the executive residence kitchen, the lights came on at 3 a.m. By 4, the executive chef has the team prepping for 4,000 people. 12 cooks, roughly 1,200 hot dogs, 1,000 hamburgers, enough corn on the cob to fill the back of a Ford F-150. And here's the thing. This is the same kitchen that has cooked for every state dinner since Truman and every pope who has ever visited the United States. Today, they're flipping burgers. But the logistics are state dinner level. Every ingredient vetted, every delivery truck searched at the gate before it cleared. Even the lettuce got a background check. Out on the South Lawn, a different crew has been setting up since 2 in the morning. 200 folding tables, a raised platform for the Marine Band, speakers staged on either side of the South Portico. Red, white, and blue cotton bunting hangs from the second-floor railing, the same bunting the residence staff has used for 60 years, packed away in cedar trunks the other 364 days of the year. Above the bunting is the Truman Balcony, 30 feet wide, 10 feet deep, built in 1948. That's where the President of the United States will stand at 5 o'clock this afternoon, give his Independence Day remarks, and a few hours later watch the largest fireworks display in the history of the world. By 6 in the morning, the South Lawn is set. The Marines arrive, the bartenders show up. The kitchen sends out the first trays of cold dishes to the staging tents. The Marine Band runs a sound check on Hail to the Chief, and you can hear it from the ellipse. And while the staff is laying out place settings, the Secret Service is doing something the cameras never show you. The counter-assault team runs a sweep of every inch of the south lawn perimeter. Dog teams sweep the south lawn. German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois trained on explosives, working overlapping figure-8 patterns from the fence line inward. The metal detectors you walk through at the airport, magnetometers, get staged at the east gate. Explosive trace detection machines roll into position alongside them. These machines puff a jet of air across your hands and clothing, then sniff the air for residue from 23 different explosive compounds. If you handled a firecracker on the drive over, this machine knows about it before you finish checking in. You don't see any of it in the photos that will run tonight on cable news. Agents in suits and earpieces blend into the catering staff and the guests. The dogs sit inside small black tents that look like equipment cases. Behind the ornamental hedges, magnetometers. That's the point. The Secret Service has the White House perimeter sealed. The loudest show in Washington isn't happening here. It's about to roll down Constitution Avenue. 11:45 a.m. The lead band steps off from 7th and Constitution. Same route every year since 1970. 7th Street west to 17th. A mile and a half of marching bands, fife and drum corps, and giant inflatable balloons that look like leftovers from the Macy's parade. And for the 250th, the parade is bigger than it's ever been. Every state and every territory got a slot. 56 slots total. The whole thing takes over 2 hours to pass any single point on the route. Some states sent traditional floats. Apple pickers from Washington, lobster men from Maine. Others sent stranger things. Texas sent a flatbed with a literal longhorn standing on it. Wyoming sent cowboys roping live calves. The crowd along Constitution is shoulder to shoulder, 10 deep, from 7th all the way to 17th. Vendors are working the line selling cold water for $5 a bottle and small plastic flags for $2. The park police run crowd control. DC Metro is on traffic. Capitol Police hold the east end. Here's something you won't see watching at home. While you're looking at the floats, you should be looking up. There's a no-fly bubble around DC and the SFRA 30 miles in every direction from Reagan National. Inside that, a 15-mile flight restricted zone where unauthorized aircraft won't get a polite warning. They get a NORAD intercept. Last year, over July 4th weekend, 11 civilian aircraft strayed inside the restricted airspace around the president's New Jersey Golf Club. 11 in one weekend. Most of them were private pilots who hadn't read their NOTAMs this morning. None of them got within 10 miles of where they thought they were going. Here's what happened to each one. An F-16 pulled up alongside the violator, dipped its wings, got the pilot's attention, and physically herded him out of the protected airspace. Just picture a sheepdog the size of a school bus doing 350 knots with 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders strapped to its sides. That's the sheepdog. The maneuver is called headbutting. Time check, T-minus 6 hours and 55 minutes to first shell. By the time the parade ends at 2 in the afternoon, the State Fair Ferris wheel line is 90 minutes long. Hot dog vendors are running out. The Smithsonian Carousel has been spinning non-stop since 10, and the first invited guests are pulling up to the southeast gate of the White House for the most exclusive party in America. The South Lawn gates opened at 11. By 2:30, 4,000 military service members and their families have moved through magnetometers and explosive trace detection. Every name on the guest list got vetted weeks ago. Secret Service threat database, FBI watch list. 4,000 names, 2 databases each. 8,000 individual checks completed before the first hot dog hit the grill. By 3 p.m., the rope line is forming. Tonight's picnic is the only one of these that has ever happened on the country's 250th birthday. The picnic looks, on television, like a backyard cookout. Kids running across the grass, soldiers in dress uniforms talking to their wives. The president working the rope line, signing hats, posing for selfies with 8-year-olds. What you won't see is what's holding the whole thing up. The podium Trump leans on when he speaks is, functionally, a piece of military equipment dressed in a suit. Armored plates sit hidden under the lectern. Ballistic shields run along both sides at chest height. You can't see them from the audience. They are there to stop rifle rounds from the front or either flank. Every podium at every presidential event has them now. The buffet tables along the south portico, the head table where the cabinet members are sitting. All of it armored. At 4:45 p.m., the Marine Band kicks in to hail to the chief. These are the same Marines that play at every state arrival ceremony and every state funeral. The president's own. They're playing for a crowd of military families eating barbecue on folding chairs, and they're playing it like the Pope just walked in. Trump and Melania step out onto the Truman Balcony. He talks for about 5 minutes. The crowd cheers in the right places. The Marine Band plays him on and plays him off. Cameras flash from the press riser at the back of the lawn. And then everyone looks up. A flat black wedge crosses the south skyline at 600 feet, dragging a wall of subsonic thunder behind it. B-2 Spirit out of Whiteman. Then the Raptors, banking hard off the Anacostia. Behind them, F-35s. After that, the Thunderbirds. 6 aircraft welded into a diamond 18 inches apart at the wingtips. Last, the Heritage Pass, a B-1 from DS, a B-52 that's older than most of the pilots flying around it. And, if the Air Force is feeling generous, the brand new B-21 Raider, the most expensive aircraft ever built, making one of its first public appearances anywhere on the planet. The aircraft come in low over the Washington Monument from the south, banking left into the corridor that runs the length of the mall. At a B-2's parade altitude of about 600 feet, you can read the serial number on the airframe from the ground. The flyover hits the second mark, landing directly over the Truman Balcony. The Thunderbirds fly diamond formation 18 inches from wingtip to wingtip. 18 inches. That's the distance from your elbow to your wrist. The lead pilot has roughly 8 seconds to make any adjustment before the entire flight is over the White House grounds. That kind of precision is the part of the flyover the cameras can't show you. From the lawn, it looks effortless. Inside the cockpit, those pilots are spending the most concentrated 30 minutes they'll fly all year. By 6 in the evening, the picnic is winding down. The military families are filing back out the East Gate, and the real lockdown of Washington is just beginning. By 6, the perimeter around the mall starts to squeeze tighter. The park police pull the perimeter up another 2 blocks. Bag check lines that started at 14th Street back up all the way to 12th. Out on the Potomac, the Coast Guard locks the river down. 3 choke points. Upstream at Key Bridge. Downstream at the 14th Street Bridge. Right abreast of the Tidal Basin, parallel to the Lincoln Memorial. The boats on patrol are 25-foot Defender-class Coast Guard craft with belt-fed M240 machine guns bolted to the bow. Their job isn't actually to engage anything tonight. Their job is to be visible. Anyone thinking about taking a personal watercraft within a mile of the mall is supposed to see the Coast Guard, see the machine gun, and reconsider their life choices. At 8 p.m., a Capitol 4th kicks off on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol. A Capitol 4th has been on PBS since 1981. Every year since, it's been the highest-rated show on public television. Every single year. Tonight's broadcast goes out on PBS, on the American Forces Network, and online to an estimated 20 million Americans. The National Symphony Orchestra is on stage. Conductor Jack Everly is at the podium. The Old Guard color team is presenting the flag. The lineup is the usual at Capitol 4th bill. A pop headliner whose name is on every Spotify Top 50, a country star with 3 platinum records, and gospel singers. Just before 9, the part everyone tunes in for. The National Symphony plays Tchaikovsky 1812 Overture, live. And here's the joke. Tchaikovsky wrote the piece to celebrate Russia's victory over Napoleon. The cannons in the score were originally meant to represent Russian artillery firing on French troops. The Pentagon has chosen to use the same composition with actual American howitzers to celebrate America's independence from Britain. Tchaikovsky wouldn't know what to make of this. Tonight, the National Symphony plays it for the 45th consecutive year, backed by real howitzer fire from the U.S. Army Presidential Salute Battery. 75mm pack guns, crewed by the 3rd Infantry. The Old Guard. The Old Guard blanks. But the percussion is real. You can feel it in your chest from 2 blocks away. The Library of Congress windows rattle in their frames. Up at the Capitol, the flagpole vibrates. It's the only concert in America where the National Symphony Orchestra has live artillery support. Above all of this, the airspace tightens. By 8:30 p.m., 2 F-16s from the 113th Wing are airborne over Washington, holding patterns at 15,000 feet, visible to the naked eye and inaudible over the music. Their orders are simple. Every aircraft entering the inner 3-mile ring around the Capitol gets 1 radio warning on emergency frequencies. If the aircraft doesn't respond, the F-16s engage. As the Capitol 4th hits the final song, 3 blocks west, the president is finishing his dinner and walking toward the doors of the Yellow Oval Room. By 9:05 p.m., the doors of the Yellow Oval Room swing open. President Trump and First Lady Melania step out onto the balcony. Two Secret Service agents take positions at arm's length. The interior lights behind them dim by 40%. Here's why. The more silhouette you put behind the president, the easier he is to range from a distance. That's not paranoia, that's physics. Tonight, with 2 million people staring south, this 30-foot slab of concrete is the most watched location on the planet. The balcony is 30 feet wide, 10 feet deep, pointed south at the Washington Monument. From the balcony, you can see down the South Lawn, past the South Lawn fountains, all the way to the base of the Washington Monument. Past the monument, the reflecting pool. Past that, the Lincoln Memorial sits on the horizon. The view from the Truman Balcony tonight is the most spectacular real estate in America. So what does it actually take to keep one human being safe on a balcony with 2 million people staring at him? On the roof of the Treasury building, a spotter has been in position since 6 in the morning. 15 hours watching the same square mile of city. His optic is mounted on a tripod. His shooter is lying flat against the parapet wall next to him, hand resting on the grip of a rifle the size and weight of a small fence post. Every 15 minutes, the two of them trade roles. Spotter becomes shooter, and shooter becomes spotter. Because nobody can stay sharp on a 1,000-yard target for 15 hours straight without rotating. Neither of them has eaten since lunch. The rifle is called a JAR, just another rifle. Custom-built 300 Winchester Magnum, sized to the individual shooter's arm length and grip. The operators on the Treasury roof are part of a 14-team unit codenamed Hercules. Every shooter on a Hercules team has been making 1,000-yard shots from a cold barrel since they signed on. They qualify monthly. Tonight, they're on the most exposed mission of their year. Their thermal optics are on now. Fireworks make a standard optical scope nearly useless. Smoke and shifting light. Thermal imaging cuts straight through all of that. The shooters tonight are watching a version of the night where the fireworks effectively don't exist. The only things that glow in their scopes are people. Every 30 seconds, each team calls status on an encrypted channel. Overwatch 1, clear. Overwatch 2, clear. All the way through 14 teams, 28 voices, a continuous loop of confirmation that nothing has changed. The moment any one team breaks the pattern, every other team pivots. That loop will run from now through the last shell of the finale. Down on the mall, the crowd of 2 million has gone almost completely silent. The Marine Band stops mid-bar. At every cannon position, the barrels come down. In a firing control truck parked behind the Lincoln Memorial, a senior pyrotechnician sits at the firing console. His finger hovers over a single red button. He watches a digital clock count down from 20, 19, 18. The first shell lifts. It launches from the south side of the reflecting pool, not from the Washington Monument, where every July 4 fireworks show is launched until 2017. The move to the reflecting pool means the show now runs in stereo. Left side, right side. Mirrored and alternating bursts on 2 synchronized tracks. Miscount on either side and a shell goes sideways into 300,000 people. Climbs at 200 feet per second. At 1,000 feet, the burst charge fires and the shell blooms into a chrysanthemum a quarter-mile wide. 2 seconds later, the south side fires its second round, then the north side, then both at the same time. The opening sequence runs to a 30-piece orchestral arrangement of America the Beautiful, broadcast on every FM station within 30 miles of the Capitol. The music isn't just coming out of the speakers on the mall. It's coming out of every car radio and every park ranger Bluetooth speaker for 10 miles. That kind of broadcast sync is brutal. The pyrotechnician at the firing computer has 50 milliseconds, 0.05 of a second, before the visual falls out of beat with the music. Across an 18-minute show with over 50,000 individual cues. That's roughly the equivalent of asking a drummer to play a 4-hour concert without missing a single hit. The current record holder is the Dubai New Year's display from 2022. About 100,000 fireworks across 45 minutes. Tonight's show is expected to clear that mark before the halfway point. Phantom Fireworks and Fireworks by Grucci have been building it since July 1st, 3 shifts a day. By the time the last shell falls, this will be the largest pyrotechnics display in the history of the world. Just 8 minutes in, the smoke starts to drift north over the South Lawn. The Washington Monument disappears behind a wall of color. The Lincoln Memorial reflects every burst in the still surface of the reflecting pool, doubling the show from below. The Capitol Dome glows in the borrowed light. 12 minutes in, the music shifts to a brass arrangement of Battle Hymn of the Republic. The shells firing are now bigger, 12-inch instead of 8-inch, and the breaks are wider and slower falling. From the Truman Balcony, the bursts look like they're happening at eye level. By the 18-minute mark, the music drops out. For 3 full seconds, the mall is silent. 2 million people hold their breath. Then, a single howitzer round goes off from the salute battery on the west lawn of the Capitol, the signal for the finale. 1,000 shells launch in 60 seconds. The percussion is loud enough that windows rattle 3 blocks from the river. The Washington Monument vanishes inside a wall of white light. The Lincoln Memorial glows red, then gold. The sky above the mall is the brightest it's been since 1776. Standing on the Truman Balcony, on a 30-foot slab of concrete that Harry Truman built because he didn't like the look of canvas awnings, the President of the United States raises his hand and waves once, and 2 million Americans wave back. If you want to see what happens at the White House on Thanksgiving, then watch this video. Bye for now.